The night I left, I had no money in my pocket. No bag, no phone, no plan. I was standing outside in the cold, wearing a silk dress, shaking. That's when things slowly started to change. I was standing outside in the cold. I was wearing a silk dress. My feet were in expensive heels. And I was shaking, not from the cold, from relief. Because for the first time in 3 years, I could breathe. My name is Sophia. I am 27 years old. And the man I left that night? He loved me. He really did. That was the problem. Let me tell you what my life looked like from the outside. I lived in a beautiful apartment on the 12th floor of a tall building in the city. Every morning, I woke up and I could see the whole city from my window. The sun would come up slowly. The buildings would turn orange and gold. It was like a painting. Daniel, my boyfriend, would already be awake. He would have coffee ready. He would kiss my cheek and say, "Good morning, beautiful." My friends would call me and say, "Sophia, you are so lucky. Daniel is perfect. Your apartment is amazing. Your life is like a dream." And I would smile. And I would say, "Yes, I know I am very lucky." But at night, alone in the bathroom, I would look in the mirror. And the woman looking back at me, I did not know her. To understand what happened, you need to know who I was before Daniel. I was a music student. I was 24 years old. I was not rich. I lived in a small room. I ate simple food. I had old clothes, but I had my guitar. My father gave me that guitar when I was 12 years old. It was old even then. The wood was scratched. 2 of the strings had been replaced, but when I played it, I felt like the most powerful person in the world. Every evening, I sat by my window and played. My neighbors sometimes knocked on the wall. Sometimes they knocked because they were angry about the noise. But sometimes they knocked to say, "Play more, we like it." That was my life, small, simple. Mine. Then my mother got sick, not a small sickness. A serious one. She needed surgery. She needed medicine every day. She needed doctors. These things cost a lot of money. I had no money. I remember sitting in the hospital waiting room. Alone. The chairs were hard plastic. The lights were too bright. I had a paper cup of bad coffee in my hands, and I was staring at the floor thinking, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? That is when a man sat down next to me. He said, "You look like you're carrying the whole world on your shoulders." I looked at him. He was older than me, maybe 35. He was well dressed. Calm face, warm eyes. I said, "Maybe I am." He said, "Tell me." I don't know why I told him. Maybe because I was so tired of being alone with the fear. Maybe because his voice was so gentle, I told him everything. My mother, the money, the hospital bills. He listened. He did not look at his phone. He did not look away. He just listened. His name was Daniel. 2 days later, Daniel paid all my mother's hospital bills. All of them. I stood at the hospital desk, and the woman showed me the receipt. 0 balance. I read the number 3 times. I could not believe it. I called Daniel. I was crying. I said, "Why did you do this?" "I cannot pay you back." He said, "I don't want you to pay me back. I just want your mother to get better." I thought, this man is an angel. My mother did get better, slowly, week by week. She got stronger. She came home. she smiled again. And I fell into Daniel's life like a tired person falls into a soft bed. He was kind, he was stable, he was always there. 6 months later, he asked me to be his girlfriend. I said yes, not because I was deeply in love. Not because my heart was on fire when I saw him. I said yes because I was grateful, because I felt safe. Because I thought, kindness is enough, stability is enough. That was my mistake, not saying yes to Daniel. My mistake was thinking that gratitude is the same thing as love. It is not. The control did not start big. It never does. It started like this, my friend Layla called me. She was having a birthday dinner, small, just 5 friends at a restaurant. She said, "Sophia, please come. I miss you." I was excited. I put on my favorite dress, bright yellow, with small white flowers. I felt happy just wearing it. Daniel came into the room. He looked at me. He smiled, but his eyes were not smiling. He said, "Where are you going?" "Layla's birthday," I said. "You remember, I told you." He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Sophia, I don't think those people are good for you anymore. You are different now. You have a different life. They don't understand your world." I wanted to say, Layla is my oldest friend. She knows me better than anyone, but I looked at his face. And I remember the hospital, I remembered the bills, and I said nothing. I changed my clothes. I texted Layla, "Sorry, I can't come." That was the first time I let him cut a piece of me away. Then was my guitar. One evening, Daniel came home and heard me playing. He came into the room and sat down. He watched me with a strange expression on his face. When I finished, he said, "Sophia, do you think this is appropriate? You're my girlfriend. People know us when they see you sitting on the floor playing an old broken guitar. What do they think?" I felt something cold move through me. I said, "I love playing guitar. It makes me happy." He smiled. That soft, patient smile, like I was a child who said something silly. "I will buy you a piano," he said, "a real instrument. Something elegant." The next week, my guitar was gone. Daniel said he put it somewhere safe. I never saw it again. The last thing he took was my voice. There was a dinner party at our apartment. 8 people, important people from Daniel's work. I wore the black dress he chose for me. One woman looked at me across the table and said, "Sophia, do you work?" I opened my mouth. I wanted to say, "Yes, I teach music to children on weekends. I am studying to become a music teacher," but Daniel's hand touched my arm under the table. A light touch, a signal. He answered for me. He said, "Sophia takes care of our home. She doesn't need to work." And everyone nodded and moved on, and I sat there with words stuck in my throat that no one heard. The breaking point came on a Tuesday morning. We were having breakfast. Daniel was reading something on his phone. He looked happy. Excited even, he put the phone down, but what came next changed everything. He slid a large envelope across the table to me. "Open it," he said. "It's a surprise." I opened it. Inside were documents, legal papers. I read slowly. It was an agreement for a new apartment. In a different city, 4 hours away from where my mother lives. My hands went cold. I looked up. "What is this?" Daniel smiled wide. "Our new home." I found the perfect place, bigger, better, a new beginning for us. I signed the papers yesterday. Yesterday, he signed. Yesterday, without one word to me, I thought of my mother, who was still not strong, who sometimes needed me to come quickly, who lived 10 minutes from here and would now live 4 hours away. I thought of the children I teach music to on Saturdays, of little Amira, who just learned her first chord last week. She was so proud of herself. She looked at me with big eyes and said, "Miss Sophia, did I do it right?" I thought of the small coffee shop on the corner of my street, where I sometimes go alone, where nobody knows I'm Daniel's girlfriend, where I'm just Sophia, a girl with a coffee and a notebook. All of this, 4 hours away, because Daniel decided. I looked at him. He was already back on his phone. Eating his toast, he did not look at my face. He did not ask, "Are you happy? Are you okay? What do you think?" He did not ask because my opinion was not part of the plan. And that is when I saw it clearly, like a curtain being pulled back. He did not love me. He loved having me. There is a big difference. I put the papers back in the envelope. I folded my hands on the table. I looked at the man across from me. This man who paid my mother's bills. This man who took my guitar. This man who answered questions for me. This man who moved my whole life without asking. And I felt something new, not sadness, not fear, anger, clean, clear anger. I'd been asleep for 3 years. And I was finally awake. That weekend, Daniel invited friends for dinner. Nice dinner, nice wine, nice music, everyone dressed well, everyone laughing. I was in the kitchen. I was in the black dress. I was carrying a tray of glasses. Daniel called from the other room. "Sophia. Come. Come join us." I walked in. He put his arm around me. "Tight. Everyone, I have news." He raised his glass. "Sophia and I are moving next month. New city, new life, new beginning. We are so excited." Everyone clapped. Everyone looked at me. Daniel looked at me too. His arm squeezed my shoulder. "Smile. Say something. Be good." I looked at the faces around the room. Friendly faces. They did not know. They thought I was lucky. They thought I was happy. I looked at Daniel. His smile was perfect. His eyes were watching me like a man watching a door, making sure it does not open. I took a breath. "Actually," I said. The room went quiet. Daniel's smile did not move, but something behind his eyes changed. "Actually," I said again louder, "I am not moving." Someone coughed. A glass touched the table. Daniel laughed softly. "Sophia is tired." "I've been tired for 3 years," I said. "Not tonight." I stepped away from his arm. I turned and I looked at him directly. "You paid for my mother's medicine. That was kind. I am grateful, and I will always be grateful. But a kind act is not a purchase. You did not buy me, Daniel. You cannot own a person." His face turned red. "Sophia, I am not your doll," I said. "I am not your object. I am a woman, and I am done being quiet." The room was completely silent. I walked to the door. I picked up my coat from the hook. I heard Daniel's voice behind me. Angry now. "Sophia, you have nothing without me. You will go back to having nothing." I opened the door. The night air hit my face, cold, sharp, real, and I stood there for 1 second and I thought, yes. Maybe I will have nothing, but I will have myself. And I walked. I went to my mother's house that night. She opened the door. She looked at my face, the silk dress, the heels, no bag, no phone, no plan. She said nothing. She just opened her arms. I cried for a long time. Then I slept the deepest sleep I had slept in 3 years. That was 14 months ago. Today my life is small again. I share my mother's house. I take the bus. I buy secondhand clothes. I eat simple food. And last month, I found a guitar market. Old, scratched, 2 new strings needed. Perfect, I brought it home. I sat by the window, just like before, just like when I was 24 and poor and free. And I played. My fingers hurt. I was rusty. The sound was not perfect, but I was smiling. Crying and smiling at the same time, because the music was mine. Because I was mine, I want to tell you something important. Love is not debt. If someone helps you, that is a gift. A real gift has no conditions. It does not ask for your silence. It does not take your guitar. It does not move your life without asking. Love is not control. The person who loves you truly wants you to be more yourself, not less. If someone is slowly taking away the things that make you you, your friends, your music, your voice, your choices, that is not love. That is ownership, and you are not an object. You are a person, and you deserve to take up space. I lost 3 years learning this lesson. I hope my story saves you some time. My name is Sophia. I found my guitar. I found my voice. And slowly, I am finding myself again. If this story touched something in you, please like this video. If you want to feel real emotions while learning English, subscribe. A new story comes every week, and tell me in the comments, have you ever stayed somewhere too long because you were grateful? I read every single one. See you next week, and what really happened, no one can explain.